streams before. You know who I am. You know a little bit about what I do. I'm a big fan of migrating and keeping my applications current and working on those brownfield applications and moving things forward. And I am so thrilled to have an opportunity today to welcome on our friends Ken and Oscar from
Hey,
GAPVelocity AI. There you go, and you can see their logo up there. Um, there's there's a lot going on in this space, and I'm thrilled to have you guys here because you've been working on a product that's going to move things forward for a lot of people. So, can you introduce yourselves and get us started here?
Yeah, fantastic. And thank you for having us, Jeff. I always love to talk to internet. So hello, internet. Hello, everybody. My name is Ken Rivera. I work as VP of Engineering, and with me is one of our amazing solution architect, Oscar. And we're going to talk about
hey,
the product that we have below. Oscar, all yours.
hey, what's up, folks? Yeah, happy to be here and happy to share this amazing tool that we've been developing for the last couple of months. So, yeah, let's do it.
All right. Now, a couple things going on. Those of you that know my stream, you know that I've got a map that's hanging out there. If you mention your
Awesome.
location, we're going to grab that out of chat and out of YouTube, and we should be getting it loaded up into the map. I see a couple folks there in YouTube, and I'm trying to make sure that we did a big update this morning. I'm trying to make sure that we're going to get those locations loaded in. 1 second, I might have to restart the bot, but that will start populating with some of the locations and things that folks are sharing out there. And we want to make sure that folks are having a good time chatting, talking throughout today's session. Please drop, if you have questions, ask them in chat. We're going to be following along and connecting with you. And Ken and Oscar want to hear from you about some of the things that you're interested in learning about as we go through today's session. Like, right? So, right off the bat here, just a simple question. So, what are you guys talking about? So, this is right. This is a topic that really hits home for me because I got my start in software development working with Access databases way back in the late '90s, and you guys now have ways that we can work with and do more with that. And I want you to introduce, talk to us a little bit about gap velocity and what we're going to be diving into today.
Yeah,
Here we go. Different
yeah,
slide.
fantastic. And I wanted to share a little bit of what are we gonna be talking. I promise not a lot of slides, even though I love them, but a couple of things. We're gonna talk about what is Velo, what we stand behind. We create a agentic solution, and is working on the AI Foundry. So we wanted to talk a little bit of why the Foundry, and then of course we wanted to do a live demo. Who doesn't love live things online? It's scary but fun. So that's our agenda for today.
All right. Now, I think we have a question we want to ask some folks. So, in chat, we want to know from you, what kind of legacy applications do you have out there? We're going to talk a little bit about access today, but do you have things out there like old ASP.NET web forms? Gosh, guys, you were telling me stuff about Power Builder that you
Yeah.
support and deal with. What were some of those other app types?
Clarion, like I never heard of Clarion before, and oof, blast from the past.
Yeah, that is a blast from the past. Somebody said something about Fox Pro at one point, like
Delphi. Delphi
Delphi.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's
So let us know what you're working on. Costa Rica Clarion 6. There you go. Okay.
mhm.
There's Fox Pro on YouTube. Yes. .NET Framework. Okay. All right. So a lot of different experiences folks have had, and we want to hear more about that as we go through here today. So, all right, who is Gap?
Yeah, and let me share a little bit about the background and what we are. And first of all, GAP's Velocity AI. We are the modernization arm for GAP Growth Acceleration Partners. And we've been doing this kind of job for 35 years. We love to take those legacy applications that we just discussed and give them a new life into the cloud. And right now, with the latest technology of Agentic, we switched to the whole modernization to make sure that it's AI rewritten. And imagine your whole application with amazing new infrastructure, microservices responding. That's what we're talking about right now. A little bit of what we have done in the past, we have worked across different regions, North America, Europe, Asia Pacific. So we have been doing this for over 35 years, and we have migrated billions of lines of code.
Hang on. When I hear from folks who say, man, I've got a big application, it's got a couple 100,000 lines of code, like that's a big application. And then I hear from other folks and they say, yeah, but our systems, we've got millions of lines of code. And like those are things where I take a step back. But you said billions with a B.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, imagine since we have phase systems up. Imagine a single monolithic application of 8 million lines of code. That happened for us a couple of years back. Like Power Builder, the Visual Basic. Imagine those Visual Basic applications up to 4 or 5 million lines of code. They're huge monolithic things.
Oh, okay. So we're talking like enterprise grade, high strength, lots of expertise to be able to go through and unwind and move those apps forward. Okay, now we're talking. I got you.
Yep. So that is a little bit of our expertise, because imagine the weird stuff that we have found in those applications, right? Like even different methodologies of development, code patterns, anti-code patterns, like you name it. So it's been a fun ride. Yeah.
Even dragons we have found in there.
Enemy dragons, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me touch real quick. All the pins are appearing on the map, and man, we're seeing. I'm seeing 50 or more pins already loading into our map. Folks that are sharing their locations on YouTube and
Nice.
thank you so much out there.
Thank you. Fantastic.
All right.
And the last part that I wanted to touch on, we are Microsoft partners. So everything that we do, by the way, touching a little bit about it, we love Blazor, we love C#. So we're targeting that as the end architecture. So that's for us very important to share. So in this journey, we wanted to share a couple of things that we have learned around it. And the first thing is, of course, why this modernization problem matters. And first of all, as you can imagine, the talent pool, where to take developers, where to understand that Delphi developer, that BB6 developer, they are not being trained right now on the new technologies, right? So your talent pool is smaller and smaller.
Those folks have retired. They've gotten paid and they've gone home.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I started to program in Visual Basic when I was 14. Imagine that was long time ago.
Yes, I was 14 when I programmed in Visual Basic.
All right. And the second big thing that we learned is that maintenance cost. And you have no idea how many IT managers I've spoken that 60 to 80% of the budget just are used to keep those applications alive in licensing, infrastructure costs, and not of them even talking that some of the applications, they cannot move it to the cloud because of security issues, right? So no cloud providers allow you to put stuff online. And
I'm seeing some of the comments of some of the interesting applications that folks have been building and working on. Like D.E. Elliott here says 200 tables, 265 forms, 320 reports, 200,000 lines of VB.
Yeah.
Right? Working on that for 30 years.
Wow.
And here's Jack Shepard, small access database with 11 forms, 450 lines of VBA. Upload it, download a Blazor project, and wants to talk a little bit about cost later. Yeah, I definitely hear concerns, questions about cost. And you know what? That's depending on right. That's something that depends on size and expertise needed that I'm sure your team can help them with.
Absolutely.
They're in the right place now. This is gonna change the game. So you're about to hear. Yeah.
And the final thing that I wanted to learn and touch a little bit that we learn is we love LLMs, right? AI is fantastic, but we have learned also that if you don't go the right way, you're gonna get a Frankenstein at the end, right? So making sure that you build purposely those agents to take care of the work is precisely. So that's a little bit of what we learned so far.
Yeah, those purpose charter-driven LLMs go a long way to getting you the the mm, the desired results you're looking for. So I'm interested to hearing more about your experience with that.
Yeah, and let's not talk a little bit more. We're gonna jump into demo in a second, but that's our proposal. Our proposal is called Velo, and it's an agentic platform that runs on top of the Azure Foundry. And the whole idea is that we took those 35 years of lessons, learnings, instructions. We used to build deterministic migrators before, and we took all those rules and apply it into the agentic world with LLM. So now we have a set of agents that take care of this one. In particular, the first one that we're going to launch is with Access. And our friend Oscar is going to tell a little bit how it's built, but it's fantastic.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, let me give you, a little introduction about this. So we've been there. We know that generative AI has done an amazing work. It's been a game changing nowadays, and we have made experiments with it. And part of our learnings are basically, that within a single prompt, that's not enough to get the best of Gen AI and to get the most of its power. So the whole idea and why Velo was born is that we are going to use Gen AI, but we needed to do it in such a way that we can get the best output from it. And that this is where this turns into an agentic platform. The whole idea is to have different agents in charge of very specific tasks so that we can, get the best output out there. So Jeff, let's jump into the demo so that you can see how yeah.
Let me take down the slides and I will put up your screen.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, so this is Velo. This is the login page. So let me get in there. So the whole idea, and as Kenneth mentioned, this is our first release, but that doesn't mean that in later releases, we're gonna have more technologies that we are gonna modernize. For this specific case, what we're gonna do is to modernize an Access application into a Blazor application. So the process is very simple. You browse your Access application, the one that I hear from there that is 30 years old. You just upload it in there, and the whole thing starts working on its own. So what's going on in here? So basically, as I told you, folks, this is an agentic platform. Okay?
Can you do me a favor and just control zoom a little bit there so we can see the terminal messages that are appearing in the log?
Yeah, let me see if, okay, it's turning in a little bit. Let me see if I can do it from here. There you go.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so what's the idea? The whole idea is, as I told you, this is an agentic platform. So we have different agents in charge taking care of this. So the first agent is the scout agent. So as any software development process, what do we need to know? We need to know what is this application about. Just like the folks from the comments say, well, I got 30 forms, I got this so much tables, I got queries, I got reports. So we want to know that as our first step. And that is taken care for one single agent. As soon as that agent ends, the whole idea is for the architect agent to start playing here. And what is it going to do? It is going to create the baseline, the foundation of the Blazor application. And right after that, the code agent is going to be the one, extracting all the business logic and turning this and taking this to the Blazor application. So what do you think about the whole process, Jeff? Sounds familiar for you?
So, okay, this sounds like the typical type of process that I would go through. I'm scouting, I'm assessing, and then I'm going to plan my migration, and then I'm going to copy over and I'm going to recreate all those things over in Blazor. And if I'm using the AI to do that, it's going to come up and there's just going to be stuff kind of littered all over the place, and it's going to work, but it's AI generated. And we're going to look at that code and we're going to go, that's AI generated, and it's going to be kind of a little bit messy, but work, right?
Exactly, and that's the difference from Velo. Velo, the whole idea is not only to basically leave an application being able to run by itself, but also to leave code that can be taken by a development team and making new stuff in there. So the whole idea is to create, a very high level application that runs under the best practices. And I forget, Jeff, to mention one agent, and this is QA. So,
Okay. Okay. So you've got a team of agents that start up. We've been practicing and learning on my streams about squad. It sounds like you've
okay,
got a group of agents that you've got coordinated that are working together between your scout, your QA, your developers that are going to bring together and deliver a good experience here.
exactly. That's the whole purpose of the QA. And this can take as many iterations as it requires, right? The whole
Okay.
idea is to get the best output in the variant. So, well, how long does it take? That's a question that we always get at. Well, that depends on the size of the application. That depends on the complexity. So,
Sure.
it depends. But meanwhile, let me pass it to Ken so that he can tell you about, why Microsoft Foundry.
All right.
Yeah.
And yeah, the found over here, this screen. There we go.
Fantastic. And a little bit about that. We, as lovers of the Microsoft technology, we immediately thought about, hey, this needs to work into the Foundry. And I'm going to share a couple of things why. Of course, as you can imagine, this is enterprise ready. So for you can run it in your own tenant. It's completely secure. We have two versions of the tool. One of them is going to be one that we can deploy in your environment, in your tenant, under your control against your Foundry, or we can run it on your behalf. And that's, for me, is very important because, of course, the second one is everybody has a tendency right now, kind of like a religion. Which model do they use, right? And the Foundry give you that flexibility.
And right, because we have the same governance, we own and we can constrain the things that are happening in my instance of the Foundry. I'm going to feel a lot more secure about sharing my code with those AI models to work with. All right, this makes sense to me as an enterprise developer, as somebody who has a little bit of constraints and regulation on my applications.
Fantastic. And also you can monitor the data. Your application doesn't have to leave your cloud, which is something that we thought from the beginning, because that's, for me, is one of the concerns of as IT person is, hey, how can I treat in my information, right? This will give you the flexibility. And that's how we build it from the beginning. And enterprise ready, AI Foundry ready. So we're all focused right now in that part.
Okay, okay. Now,
Fantastic.
it sounds like we're using the right tools in the right space, and if we're already a Microsoft customer and using the various products, this fits right into our existing billing schedule and the way that we work. I see a question in chat asking, can we see the demo app and take a look at some next steps here?
Sure, let's do it, Jeff.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me pull back that screen and let's put up and see what Oscar has for us now.
Okay, so it seems that the application is already done. I mean, we got it ready to get downloaded. So how does it look like? So let me show you here. So this is the modernized application from the Norwind Access database. So what do we have in here? The whole idea and part of what our team does is basically to provide like a summary, right? So what happened? What 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 Velo did during this, 3 minutes? Well, basically it's telling us, well, it was able to modernize 21 forms. There were no reports found. So the whole idea is to give, a brief summary of how of what was done in here. So what do you think about the look and feel of the application, Jeff?
So right now, looks like what I would get out of a brand new Blazor application with the Bootstrap template, the navigation bar on the side here. And I think you're going to show us a little bit of what some of these features are, and we're going to put them side by side, like Jack was asking for there in YouTube chat, so we can see, yeah, where do we come from, and what do you have for us now when we're in a web browser here?
Perfect. So let's do that side-to-side comparison in here. Okay,
Yeah.
so we got, that's Norwind, and then we got, the modernized application. So let's go on the main menu. As you can see, this is where on your left, you got the original Access application. On your right, you got the modernized Blazor application. So as you can see, this is not a perfect pixel replica from the Access application, and that's on purpose. the whole idea is basically to, leave this application as if it was written today, as if it was coded today. So it's a fresh look, totally.
Sure. The thin Excel grid lines for my tables and all that, those are nice when you're working inside the application, but we've got web-based tables. It looks like, and tell me if I'm wrong here. It looks like because you're using Bootstrap UI, that you've also got a responsive design there, which means that we're going to do all the cool things that web browsers can do, which means I might be able to even browse this with my phone or tablet as well.
Yes, exactly, Jeff. And actually, probably you're getting some links from Jeff in some at some point where you can actually, try this
Yeah.
this application on your own, so that you can see that, yeah, this is for real. Let me bring some other screen here. So let's bring this customers. So we got, a customer list in here, the same. We got, a nice, new grid in here. If we want to look at the the details of that customer, then we can go it from here and edit it. So the whole idea, Jeff, is, to give like a new fresh look to the application on this. And you can see it's pulling actually, some data from here.
Let me go to it. I love that it looks better, and we've taken advantage of the web framework. I want to go to this comment from Jack on YouTube,
Yep.
who says that Jack tried exporting their forms from Access as HTML. They didn't look much like the original. Is the AI better extracting the GUI for a Blazor app? So we're not taking the forms directly, but it sure looks like your team is adapting them and making similar decisions in placing content here.
Exactly. That's the whole idea. We want to have, UX experience in such a way that it's modern, that it looks fresh, but, the business rules and everything stays pretty much the same, but,
Yeah.
in a newer, most modern way. All right.
So there's one more comment here I want to go to from
Mhm.
Usual Jules on Twitch. A lot of legacy apps have features or code that doesn't need to come forward into the app. Does this assume the legacy app is cleaned up first?
No.
So do we
So
assume clean up along the way?
no, we just need the code as it is. And actually, Jeff, that's a very important question that I got from customers. We prefer you to give us the application as it is. Why?
Okay.
Because there's going to be a time in which customers like you folks, you want to make a side-to-side comparison. How does the original application used to behave and how is behaving now? So we better leave it as it is, and we're going to be in charge of, for example, removing all the things from, libraries that are no longer required or that you need a new process. That's also part of the process, Jeff. There are new workflows that need to get updated, just so that now it makes sense. Probably 30 years ago makes sense. Now we don't. For example, there was an application that you were able to fax, a report or whatever. So we don't want that. So, part of this is, working post this modernization process with our customers to update all those features. And that's something that
Okay.
Ken will talk later in the talk.
So, and I know you want to show us some code next, and in particular, I see John on YouTube is asking about how you're working with the database in the code. So I think that was actually spoiler alert, John. I think that's where Oscar actually wanted to take us next in his demo.
Yeah, that's the whole idea for sure. So let me bring, yeah, you have, okay. So I just wanted to show you, this is the application, whole modernized. Let's just start like with the structure, right? So as Jeff, you were mentioning, anybody can take, can write one single prompt and modernize an application. But the
Yeah,
output, can you give, good maintenance?
yeah.
How is it handling the database? Is it prepared for any database? And so, right? So there are many things that, yeah, you can make some progress on your own. But the whole idea is that we want to deliver the full experience in terms of best practices from a software development standpoint. So this is how it looks, Jeff. We got the
So
services models. Yeah.
yeah, you look like you have a good structure there that aligns really well with how I would expect a Blazor application to be structured and built. Now, I see
Mhm.
there that you have on line 46, the line that's currently highlighted there, and
Yeah.
can you zoom in a little bit on the code so
Yeah.
some of our friends can see what you're showing there a little bit better. Yeah, we got
Yeah.
create DB context. You're using entity framework with this then.
Exactly, Jeff. And the whole idea is that by using entity framework, we're getting rid of Jet or Ace that we used to have on Access applications. And what's the purpose? With entity framework, you can just hit any database, you name it. So the application is ready to start talking with the ones that you want. And at the same time, you can see a little bit of some code pattern. We're using the factory pattern to get the context of the database. So that means that, we're not going to hit the database so much. So it's better for the whole Blazor environment. Mhm.
Okay, and you downloaded the source code for this. So I'm guessing the mirror in my mind from the old Jet database file on disk. Are you using something like SQLite on disk in the initial package that downloads?
Yeah, the whole idea is if from your application from the original one, if we got some data in there, if we don't have a database in place to get the data, then we just run an in-memory database SQLite just to show some data early in the process. This is very useful, Jeff. Imagine when you do a POC or when you deliver your first screen and there's no data. It's like, ah,
Yeah.
the screen looks
Oh,
good, but
oh,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing, to provide from our first deliverable a very good experience on it.
okay.
So
Yeah.
let me move
And
more into the
next
code.
question,
Yeah,
then let
yeah,
me ask one more question about entity framework.
sure.
I'm going to kind of roll up a couple questions that I see here in chat. So
Yeah,
because you're using entity framework, it's very easy for me to drop in and change provider if I wanted to use Microsoft SQL, if I wanted to use Postgres, Oracle. I can swap in the appropriate entity framework provider all the way up in the program CS file and in my NuGet packages, and we're just going to run with that model instead.
exactly. And
Okay.
that's a very, transparent process. It's a matter of just changing a connection string from the code, and now you're hitting whatever database engine you want to hit. So this
Terrific.
is, yeah, this is terrific. Another thing, part of what we handle is, we got, appropriate structure logging errors so that you can later, for bug fixing purposes or audit purposes, you're gonna be able like to go through it. Um, there's also some interceptors going on in here just for audit purposes, so that
Okay.
anyone who creates a record, updates a record, or whatever, everything is going to be audited. So we're using some aspect-oriented programming in here. That's also part of the best practices as well.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
we try to, give you a really well, solid, functional piece of software that you can start working right away. And there's one thing, Jeff. All of the libraries that we use are the Microsoft standard libraries. We are not giving you some proprietary code from GAPVelocity. No, everything is out there. All the nuggets that I'm using are out there, public for everybody.
Terrific. Okay. So
So mhm.
what's next?
Next, just before I move from away from the code, just wanted to show you like, okay, front end, we got probably some front end guys in here. So yeah, this is the Razor page. As you can see, it's a clean Razor page. There's no
Sure.
business logic involved. You know, the separation of concerns is implemented in here in such a way that this is easy, maintainable, and every component is in charge of its own task. All right. So this is like a quick look from our code overview.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me. Okay. So just to end the demo and part of what we're showing again, this is something that you can try.
Hmm.
We are also sharing the GitHub repo where this code relies, so that you can actually go into the code and make like a quick overview of how it is
Yeah.
made.
Yeah.
But there's a missing piece that I haven't talked about, Jeff, and this is very important. This is completed around 85 to 95%. So
Mm.
this is, you know, we got the code. This is from a code overview. We feel very confident that this is ready, but we're missing, other important parts on the whole software development process. And basically, well, where are you gonna deploy this? We talk about databases. Which databases do you want to use?
Yeah.
Do you want to add new features on this? Do you want
Yeah.
integration test, unit test? And I can talk about all
Yeah.
the things
A
that
lot of
we can,
things.
yeah. And AI enabled with some feature. I mean, it's the universe of options that we have in here. So what we do in here is basically with Velo, we're getting the heavy lift from the code. The code is pretty much ready. It compiles, it runs, but we need some eyes from our team to take a look at it and to work with you folks, with the customers, right? Why?
Yeah.
Because you probably have some customizations that you want to add or requirements. So we call it the AI squad. So the AI squad is gonna take this code and it's gonna work along with the customers to fulfill hopefully all what they want to do with it, so that in the end we can take this to production. That's what we want. that,
Absolutely.
that's our final goal, Jeff. And just to end, what we want is to provide an exceptional experience to our customers to take these applications into production. That's what we care the most, and that's why we do stuff like this. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah. So there's that last gap there that I think you wanted to talk about, Ken.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, and by the way, I see a similar question as well with the manual effort. So let me talk about the coverage gap. First of all, we have tried, of course, we're fan of LLMs, AI, and we have tried Copilot, Cursor, Claude, Codex, and you can get to roughly 70% of the code completion with those tools, right? And when
Yeah.
I say that is, as Oscar mentioned, the code that we create at the end is ready with logger, with division of concern. So it's engineer, right? It's ready, it's polished, and we consider that 85 to 95% of the road. Like we mentioned, the last mile is extra feature, moving it to production, like the little meme. Perhaps we have it in local host. We wanted to have it in the cloud, really, and
Yeah.
deployed. So that's something that we noticed. We are able to get it with the constraints and with our knowledge farther along than with the other tools, right? So that's a huge advantage. I've been myself trying to manually modernize applications with Cloud, and then you realize, hey, I don't like this one, or I don't like that particular part. We've been there, right? Everybody, I think,
Yeah.
tried there. Uh, and the question, I see a question from the, how long does it take manually, right? We have that same question in our company. Actually, the demo itself, it doesn't take 5 minutes. We did a little bit Julia Child's thing. We put it so people doesn't have to wait for a couple of hours to migrate and modernize the application. But manually, we make a comparison. The Norwind database, it took a good solid month of a developer to get it to the state that we are, right? Because they need to go check the data. It's not easy to extract the code. Even we make tools to enhance that data extraction from the access. It wasn't that easy, right? And in the real world, we actually have one customer who depends in a sales system that they sell with Access database. It took them manually 3 months to migrate one piece, and they say, no, we need a faster way. That's why we came into the picture, because we can turn those 3-4 months into migrating into a couple of weeks, production ready, deploy, which is completely different.
Okay. Okay. And I do see a couple folks asking about different structures, different ways that they're building and working with Access databases. Do you mind taking a question or two?
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
So let me go to this first one from Jack. Does this mean that as a developer with my own customers and end users, I can't use this to give me the basis and then let me do the final work?
Completely. Actually, one of our ambitions of the tool, and right now it's not ready, but we envision it also like a a self-service offering where you can upload and you can get the code and you can continue and do that part by yourself. Or if you need help, we are there. But yes, absolutely. This give you, we consider that the output of the tool is in alpha ready state. That means that it's ready for testing with your users.
Mhm.
We consider that it's good enough that you can put the end user to try it and give you feedback before you finish the last touches.
Nice. So, yeah, Jack, it sounds like it's going to get you pretty close, and then you can polish it off.
Yeah.
And oh, John here with I remember this architecture approach back in the day with front end, back end databases with access. Can Velo handle that type of approach with SQL Server as the back end?
Yeah, for sure, Jeff. The whole idea is that for this release, what we're handling, is this very first, flow of going from Access to Blazor. But the whole idea is, to get more flavors in Velo, so that we can handle different types of those. There's no limit from source to target, but the
Yeah.
whole idea is, we need to, get to know what the market is requiring, and actually that's the reason of this first release. Access is something that we notice that there's a lot of access out there, small applications usually, and what they need is just a heavy lift, a first push, so that they can modernize this as fast as possible. But yeah, that's something totally feasible.
So very early in the process, not early in the process, but we're talking about V1 here, and those more sophisticated solutions right now might take a little bit more time to work through, but it's only going to make the product better as we get more exposure for Velo to
Absolutely.
see the
Exactly.
awesome stuff.
And Jeff, we have a very aggressive target. Talking a little bit, we want to cover other technologies as fast as possible with a monthly release. We are targeting in our roadmap Power Builder, BB6, web forms, like so. That is part of something that we wanted to make aggressively into this agentic platform. So look out for more. So,
Nice, nice. And I think you had one more slide there you wanted to show. Let me put that up. Um, uh, and
yeah,
Dino has a question there that we can touch on after you.
fantastic. No, so a couple of things in case anybody wants to get on hold on us. As you can imagine, this is the first release. We at the moment we don't have the SaaS solution that you can do it self-service. We need to run it on your behalf. But how to get in contact with us? There's a QA form. The other thing is we have what we call Byte Inside. It's a free assessment tool. You can run it against your code, against your application, against Access, and it will give you that sense of size, so you can understand what do you have in there. And after, with that information, we can give you a fixed price investment. And this is the other part that we wanted to share. There won't be any surprises, no extending costs. We will give you, hey, this is how much it costs, and we'll deliver on that.
All right, all right. A few questions about how this works. Let me start down here with the last question. From Arbea is asking about the Gap website says that you support and do things with web forms. I think they might be seeing that you support web forms with other tools. Velo doesn't support web forms yet. I think what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, correct. It's a little bit of mix. As everybody we're in the transition. We used to have a lot of our deterministic migrators, so we have the capability in there, but we're switching as fast as possible to the agentic world with a mix of our technologies, so it can be even faster. So, by the way, get in contact with us. Even though it's not available in the Velo platform, we can do it with our engineering teams, and we're getting really fast delivery times.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Actually, Jeff, we've been working a lot with Power Builder. From late on the last month, there's a lot of Power Builder out there, and actually, that's why it's on the roadmap. The next one is Power Builder, and we are actually refining our AI in order to be able to be handled through Velo. So yeah,
Oh,
it's on the works, and Jeff, I mean, as I said before, it can be any source to any target. So the whole idea is that we got the experience from 35 years ago that we started this business, so we know how to handle all the LLMs so that we can get what we want. I saw some question regarding what happens with our third-party companies. Yeah, we can handle those, not because GenAI knows how to do it by itself, but because we know how those mappings work. So yeah, we can work on that as well.
What kind of Blazor app do you end up delivering then? We saw you downloaded it. Is that Blazor Server side? Is that WebAssembly? Which type of Blazor app is that?
Yeah, the one that I show you, the one you have available, as you know, that is the one deployed for you to try it out. That's on Blazor Server 10.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's what we are targeting. Yeah.
And it looks like we just got a raid from one of our friends over on Twitch. Thank you so much, Lana Lux, for the raid. We're just wrapping up talking to our friends Ken and Oscar from GAPVelocity AI about different tools and things that they've put together to help make migrating from old access databases to not just migrate but modernize into a full-fledged application using Blazor. There's Lana. Thank you so much. And of course, we've had the map running in the background. So the folks that have been chiming in, saying hello and sharing their location, you can be as accurate or as inaccurate as you'd like. We see folks out there that have been sharing their location. Let me just share the map so we can show what's been going on there.
Wow.
There we go. We've got 51 folks that have joined us on the map. Look at all those little red YouTube hats all over the place out there. You can find the map going to map.csharpfritz.com. Oh, look at the Pittsburgh fan dropping in here. I'm a Philadelphia fan. I've got my 76ers basketball hat on here. And our hometown Flyers are playing Pittsburgh starting this weekend. So, and sorry, Lana, Toronto didn't make it this year. So, not seeing your basement. No, your basement isn't on the map. Although I think somebody did plot something for there we go. Showing up in Bellevue, Washington. There you are.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Really rocks.
So thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And I'm just taking a look here. A couple other folks that are adding their locations to the map. There we go.
Oh, and, Netherlands. Yeah, that's awesome.
Very cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I think I'm not sure. Let me go back over to Ken's slide one last time. And I think we're close to wrapping up right here.
Yeah.
So
I actually the last part that I have is QA. If you wanted to take a couple of questions from the audience, I love to take questions.
Let me just take a quick look here. We answered the question about web forms. We talked about how long it would take. That question from Jay Louise. I think we covered a lot of these along the way, actually. Dino with a question here about CSLA, right? That architecture our friend Rocky Lotka works on. Do we do anything with CSLA?
So far at this point, Jeff, it's not on the roadmap at this point. But if we know that it's something that is getting that is required by our customer, that's something we can definitely work on.
And CSLA really isn't a thing that you use inside of an Access database with your current model that you're working with. Really, that's something more that somebody would have built into a more modern .NET, maybe a VB6 application, and you have other products that are currently working with those object models, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, probably at some point we might have implicitly work on it, but yeah, so far it's not like part of the roadmap.
Terrific. Okay. And then there's some links. I saw the Stream Elements link just drop in there for the link. If you want to try out, you want to visit and take a look at the demo yourself, and the source code is right there, github.com, GAPVelocity AI, Velo demo. Let's go to this question from John Moore that just popped in here. Will this do any actual data migration to a specific database away from Access? Understanding EF can hit any database.
Okay, so at this point, Jeff, what we are focused is on code migration, right?
Yeah.
So basically, that's our main focus through Velo, but that doesn't mean that at some point we might want to, start making some data migration at some point, to enhance it with some database providers. But again, this is not quite on the roadmap because we have seen, requirement from other technologies such as Power Builder and BB6, which people is
Sure.
they are screaming for help. So
And honestly, once you have that entity framework structure declared inside the new application, to then generate those structures in whatever target database you decide to use, to do an ETL tool to migrate from access to that destination. It, I don't want to say shouldn't be too hard, but might be a straightforward process to work through.
yeah.
That typically, when we talk about the last mile engineering, sometimes people often forget about those things, and there might be one last mile is stretching long last mile, but that's part of it. We can help you with that as well.
And Luis went a little bit further here. I think this is outside of where we're demoing today. Old Angular applications using C# on the back end. I don't think Velo is set up to work with Angular yet, but this sounds like something you might have another product to help with.
Yeah, at the moment we don't handle that. We have run some experiments as well because, by the way, we love Blazor so much. Even we have run some experiments. Hey, how do we take React applications and migrate it to Blazor? So we're experimenting along the way. It might pop up in our future, but yes, at the moment we're not actively working because we're taking care of the old patients that we wanted to take the cloud. But certainly, it's in our thought process, Angular and React to see if we can migrate to Blazor as well.
Absolutely. All right. I am just trying to get my arms around. Do I have all the things here? Yeah. A lot of moving pieces over here on this side of the screen. I think that's all we wanted to cover today.
Awesome.
We've gone through and we've hit a lot of questions. I'm really excited about what this means as a starting point. Being able to do that much migration and once again, not just migration, but modernization from access to a modern application, a complete application, really is an impressive step that is going to go a long way for not just your customers, but as somebody was saying there, for their customers, for their users to be able to use applications in new modalities and with new devices and even use Azure and other cloud services so that applications are then more usable in more places. It's great stuff that you're able to enable for this.
Yeah. Fantastic. And especially with Access, there was no glide path, so we wanted to offer one. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right.